Alright, so yesterday, within 1 hour of one another, both ChatGPT and Perplexity made some absolutely massive announcements. And the crazier part is, it's basically the exact same thing 1 hour apart. And many people are not covering just how great of a deal breaker this is and how much it can change your workflow. So what basically happened is that both of these companies basically just said that the next wave of AI isn't going to be just a chatbot, something you type some prompts to and ask some questions to. It's going to be an agent that lives on your computer and does literally every single task that you yourself would do. And really, it showcases that if you're still using ChatGPT like you would have in 2024, well, you're going to get left behind. So to give some context, Perplexity just announced their personal computer, and at the same time, ChatGPT announced their new thing for agents. What specifically did they announce for the agents? Well, the biggest thing that they announced was this new feature or this new entire program called Codex, which, well, does the same thing as personal computer, which is kind of similar to what a lot of people were using other tools like OpenClaw for to basically run tasks on your computer while you are away. So just yesterday, Perplexity made this post. Today, we are releasing Personal Computer. Personal Computer integrates with the Perplexity Mac app for secure orchestration across your local files, native apps, and browser. We're rolling this out to all Perplexity Mac subscribers and everyone on the waitlist starting today. Personal Computer securely connects to any folder to search, read, and write locally. It can access and work across iMessage, Apple Mail, Calendar, and other native Mac apps. When set up on a Mac Mini, Personal Computer can run 24/7 in the background across all of your apps and files. So you start a task from your iPhone, and Personal Computer can operate on your desktop and local files using 2FA. Requires the latest iOS though, but damn, that's a big deal, right? Because so many people are finding interoperability issues or finding it hard to get started. Like, where do you start with your phone to Mac Mini connection, right? You need all these different tools to make sure, or API calls, to make sure that your phone could actually communicate with your device. But they just streamlined that entire process and made it so freaking simple. And of course, at the same time, this came out, as you can see, 7:51 p.m. my time. If we then take a look at 9:18 p.m., so just an hour afterwards, OpenAI also released their announcement of Codex. Codex for almost everything. It can now use apps on your Mac, connect to more of your tools, create images, learn from previous actions, remember how you like to work, and take ongoing and repeatable tasks. So they basically just did the exact same thing. And by the way, it says right here with use on Mac OS or whatever, but Sam Altman himself confirmed by basically quoting the Codex guy at OpenAI that it actually also works on Windows now as well. Because somebody commented saying your communication isn't great, but he said spread the word because it does also in part work on Windows. So if you now want some indication as to what Personal Computer from Perplexity on Mac could do for you, well, it could sort your messy downloads folder, perhaps complete a to-do list end to end, because you give it that list, it doesn't really explain how, but it just looks across your mail, calendar, and whatever, or through local apps. Compare local files against the web, which is pretty interesting, the fact that these things are changing so fast. And as you can see right here, trigger with both command keys. So you just press the one on the left and the right. Files sandboxed, actions reversible, kill switch available. But there is a slight little catch. Even though this entire blog post just makes it seem like it's absolutely great, which for the features, it definitely is, because it's very easy to access and really can streamline your entire process. One thing that's kind of just kind of hidden away in a very small section of this website is that Personal Computer for Mac is rolling out today to Max subscribers. And if you had no idea, well, that's a $200 a month subscription. It's not the simple $20 pro plan. We're talking Max here. We're talking 200 schmeckaronis. You have to pay these guys every single month to be able to access this feature. But if you're going to find some use for it, I presume it's most likely also going to be worth a couple $100 a month because of all the tokens you're going to use anyway. Then again, the pitch gets kind of slightly more difficult from the perspective that it says, hey, you should probably run this over on a Mac Mini so your phone can always send it messages on the go. And so the idea is that you have a device, let's say a $700 Mac Mini, connected to your let's say $1,000 iPhone, if you got a bit of an older one, right? And you're making them interoperable while paying $200 a month for this subscription, while probably also paying for another subscription, it's going to become quite a costly thing. And this is the trend we're seeing with AI recently, where The models are getting so good, but they're hitting the limits so fast that they keep rolling out higher and higher tiers, but then also only making the newest feature only available to higher tiers. Yesterday I covered, for example, that Claude Opus 4.7 was out, but they weren't releasing Mythos to the public. What if I were to tell you that many institutional clients, like for example Apple, already have access to this model, but we have no idea what they're paying? It could be for this early access they have to pay $1 million a month, for example, $1 million a week, $1 million a day, who knows? And so the trend seems to currently be to get higher and higher tier normal subscriptions. I'm not talking about, institutional grade, because usually those prices are a bit harder to see. I'm talking about the fact that before, the best you kind of go for was a $20 a month subscription that everybody was going for. Right now, most people I speak with have $100 or $200 to spend on their small AI stack. But I think eventually this is going to go more towards the $1,000 plus mark as people find more and more tasks to replace with just these AIs. Now, some of the more interesting parts specifically about personal computer is, like I just stated before, that every single action is reversible and it's got a kill switch. The idea that they were able to make something like this that is reversible because they get made in their own little bubble, right, in their own sandbox, so for that reason it is able to turn it back. But anyway, just specifically talking about Perplexity's new feature here, is this something you should upgrade for, many people may ask? In my personal opinion, no. At $200 a month, it is too high a price for what you're getting. Sure, it's great that this is going to be able to run on your computer all the time and you can use your phone to connect to your Mac Mini, so your little personal assistant of sorts, but for most people, it's just not going to be worth that price point, especially knowing that in a few months, you're going to be getting this access for probably $20 a month. If you're finding a very specific use for you though, that takes away at least so many hours that it, again, kind of just brings you the ROI on its own, then sure. But there are a lot of cheaper options out there right now that don't require you to have a max plan. The only problem is it will currently require you to use multiple tools at the same time, but it does save a pretty good penny. Now heading over into OpenAI, a couple of things have changed. So over on April 15th, they basically already announced that they're building some stuff here. The updated Agents Software Development Kit helps developers build agents that can inspect files, run commands, edit codes, etc. So we thought that this was going to be something that you're going to have to do on your own. And well, even though pretty freaking huge, was kind of like far away from what I read right here. And then just not even a day afterwards, they basically said, you know what? Let Papa handle it, all right? Let OpenAI take care of this right now. You don't got to do nothing on your own. Here's Codex. Yeah. So the feature list is not exactly the same. One of the major changes, or let's call it differences with Perplexity, is that OpenAI also puts a lot of emphasis on this new generation of images. Take a look at this post right here. You can now generate and iterate on images with GPT Image 1.5 in Codex to create front-end designs, mockups, game assets, and more without leaving your workflow. Usage is included with your ChatGPT account, no API keys needed. And another thing that many will probably read over, it's this bottom part right here. So the full tweet reads, automations can now run in the same thread. So Codex can pick up where I left off with the original context intact. Important, sure. But this part is more interesting to me. It can schedule future work and wake up automatically to continue long-term tasks, from landing open PRs to following up on tasks or staying on top of fast-moving conversations. The fact that it can auto-wake up is, in my opinion, a very, very big deal. And they're also already starting with some pretty massive support, 90 plus plugins at the start here. And so instead of this being the coding update that many people expected it to be, kind of the moment where they kind of went head to toe with Claude, they decided to go a completely different route, follow the Perplexity route. And here's another interesting question to ask yourself. Do you think these guys had this sort of ready to ship and just waited for the competition to kind of like one-up them slightly after Perplexity announced it? Do you think this was a battle of, hey, you know what, Perplexity just made this available, we need to ship this now too, even though it's not as far as we want it to be? Do you think they're already way further, like for example Claude hath with Mythos, but they're just choosing to not give full access to everything just quite yet? Anyway, one nice feature from the ChatGPT OpenAI side is that, as far as they've stated, starting today, these updates are rolling out to Codex desktop app users who are signed in with ChatGPT. And for as far as I found, even free users will have access access to this at the moment. This in the near future may change or be very much limited, but on OpenAI's help desk themselves, they state that Codex is included with ChatGPT Plus, Pro, Business, and Enterprise. So even though it is for a limited time available for ChatGPT Free and Go, this may very well change in the near future. And one more nice thing, if you are on a paid subscription model, is that every single one of the other plans enjoy a 2x rate limit. Why is this critical? Well, because Sam Altman, the OpenAI man, just went on to state, "I'm happy everyone is switching to Codex. But Thibault, the guy behind Codex at OpenAI, if you start rate limiting me or making me use worse models," and that's because, like we saw with Claude Opus 4.7, like we're seeing with all these models, the better they become, the quicker they hit your rate limits. Anyway, it's really crazy to see that now Perplexity, OpenAI, and Anthropic are all fighting the same battle. But to a certain extent, they're not. Where Perplexity and OpenAI just went more towards the route of making everything an all-in-one desktop piece, Cloud stayed a lot more with, as of this point, coding, and kind of the working alongside you with their co-work rather than doing all the work for you while you're gone. I know co-work has a lot of cool features like being able to schedule things, but there's a lot of tasks that right now people are using Hermes or OpenClaw for that, reading from these blog posts, Perplexity and ChatGPT now just tried to combat. They're trying to be, beating the competition on this front. And so the battle when it comes to these major AI companies, it's shifting. Where first you had all these different AI companies for specifically things, soon they're all gonna probably be one and the same. It is, in my opinion, too much of a coincidence that these two massive companies announced such a thing 1 hour apart. And the simple reason I think they did it is because it's competition. Now, exactly the main reason I speculated about before. It could be because they had the feature, they didn't want to ship it, but they had to now. It could be that they used Perplexity to see what they were shipping and then decide to ship the exact same thing plus a few new features. Anyway, I'm already testing Perplexity and ChatGPT's new features right now as we speak. It'll take a few days though before we get the good drift of how exactly much better this all is. In a week from now, I'll probably make an update video to see how the last 7 days with the tools have been. But I find it also kind of crazy to realize that even though these massive updates all just got rolled out, right? Claude, ChatGPT, and Perplexity all basically within a day. Most likely within a week from now, some new massive announcements will have come out, making all my little research here obsolete, or me trying out these new things, these new features. So potentially I have to make this video in 3 days or just forget it forever because AI is moving just so freaking fast right now. Anyway, if there's a specific topic you'd like me to cover, there's a specific video you'd like to see, make sure you comment it down below and make sure you press that like button if you enjoyed this video. And I'll see you guys again in another one tomorrow because I'm uploading on this channel every single day.